Hi, my name's Andrew Sears, and we developed a lesson plan at our school as a part of our Master's in Technology and Social Entrepreneurship program that we thought a lot of other schools might benefit from and a lot of people might benefit from. So we wanted to release this under Creative Commons for a lot of other people to use. So let me just tell you a little bit of my where the idea behind this came from. About 5 years ago, my health really went south. I come from Kansas City, which used to be the obesity capital of the United States, and I ate really horribly. And I didn't follow the food pyramid. Many of you have seen this food pyramid, and in many ways, followed an inverted food pyramid, and my health went way down. And as I started to learn more about nutrition, I realized the same type of concepts apply towards the area of media nutrition, how we consume media. So, there's a phrase, you are what you eat, but you are also what you consume in terms of media. So, um, that's the basic idea of this lesson plan, is that in the same way that you have a food pyramid, there's a media nutrition pyramid. And in this lesson, the basic idea is that the foundation should be in-person relationships. So for Christians, that's, the summary of the Bible is love God, love others. And, part of that also includes having a Sabbath and in doing self-care. So ultimately, that's the counterpart to, say, exercise in the food pyramid. Then the next layer is media that's going to help you grow. So that could be, Bible study, Christian content, music, education, work. So that's like your fresh fruits and vegetables. So that should be, the next part of the foundation of the pyramid. And then you have neutral media. And part of what I learned in my own eating is that actually the key to eating healthier is to try to limit these empty calories. So that's things like bread, rice, potatoes. They have very little nutritional value other than just being calories. And the same type of thing applies with media. There's a lot of things it's neutral media. It's not bad, it's not good. It just fills our time. So, some music, games, news, social media, a lot of things, people do on their mobile phones. And then at the top is junk media. So that's just empty entertainment, and that's dessert. And I like my dessert. I play games. There's been times in the past where I got so addicted that I played 18 hours straight and almost passed out. And eating 18 hours straight of dessert is going to do the same thing to you. And that shouldn't be the key of our diet. And the last part is anything that's toxic or addictive media. And that's going to be up to you on what you think is toxic. For some people, that could be binge watching just TV shows on Netflix. But for other people, that's going to be more obvious things like pornography or addictive games or things along those lines. Now, the food pyramid's one analogy I want to use, and that's going to be the main one for the lesson plan, but I also want to give you another analogy that I learned on nutrition. And one of the ideas is if you want to eat healthy, there's a very simple secret. You stay on the outside of the supermarket. So the outside has your fresh fruits and vegetables, your deli, your meat, your dairy and eggs, your frozen foods, and that's the healthy part. The middle part is all the processed stuff. So there's a similar type of shortcut that you can take and designing your own media nutrition is it's actually through the media type. So I would draw the comparison, and what happens is the device actually influences the availability of media. So for instance, you could get something healthy at fast food, but it's actually really hard. So I would say television is like fast food. You can get something healthy from it if you try really, really hard. You might be able to find a documentary that's educational, but for the most part, it's going to be at best empty calories. A computer is more like a supermarket. You can sit there and get junk at a supermarket. You could just buy the entire aisle of Oreos, or you can get very healthy stuff. So it depends on how you use it. And the tablet or smartphone, I would say, is like a convenience store, or it's like a daily trip, and you could make your daily trip to a produce store or a farmer's market. And it really depends. It's kind of like the supermarket, but it happens much more frequently. So it depends on what you get. So the question is, how are you going to construct your food pyramid? If you did it like I used to, you say, fast food's the foundation, and then You have snacks on top of that, and then Coke and Wonder Bread, and then you have your fruit that you get from your Starburst, right? Um, Ultimately, that's not the way to healthy, right? Um, Whenever I've had this course and I've had people go through the course, most of the food, their media food pyramids actually looks like this. It looks upside down. And obviously, this isn't a balanced pyramid. If you build a building like this, then the building's going to collapse on itself. What I see with most people is their in-person relationships are the least. Then media for growth is, the next least. And then a lot of time in neutral media and junk media, and then a good amount of time. And a lot of times the first time people go through it, they're not honest. They don't put their binge watching 8 hours on Netflix in the addictive category. But for a lot of people, they have a lot of poison. And the end result is, the Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he. So you end up having this thing, spiritual obesity. So part of what I happened with my own health was I was wondering, why am I so tired? Why am I so depressed? Um, it was largely because I was eating horrible food. I wasn't exercising. But on top of that, it was also because I was taking in horrible media. So that's what this exercise is about. So I'm going to talk with you about how you can change that. And in the next part, what we're going to go through is the so you're going to actually go through and construct a log of your media use. And there's going to be two parts of this log. Let me show you. The first part is actually going to be a Word document. So what you're going to do is you're going to write one paragraph on your media use. And you're going to say, I check my email for 5 minutes in the morning, then I listen to my music. And that's the first thing you're going to do. And then once you've done that for that day, then you're going to convert it to the spreadsheet. You're going to do that for all 7 days. You're going to convert it to the spreadsheet, and do it each day, because you'll forget by the seventh day. And then at the end, you're going to do a reflection, on what you learned from this. But what you're going to do is you're going to put this into the nutrition plan. And I have this nifty spreadsheet that actually creates your food pyramid. It's not a perfect pyramid. It's a square pyramid, but it's going to show you what your pyramid looks like. It's also going to show, how much of your waking hours are in media. Recently, there's a study that showed that the majority of our waking hours are in media. And and then also, I think a key factor is by consumption or production. Now, if you want to get into advanced topics, you can show some of the hidden rows, and I have by media type and by content type. But whenever I use this with courses in the past, it was too complicated. So the first part, what you're going to do is you're just going to log. And this is what would happen if you went to a nutritionist. They would say, just log what you're eating. And then after that, what the nutritionist is going to do is they're going to come to you and they're going to get a plan. And what I'm going to recommend, so the step two is you're going to design your own plan. You're going to say, here's my targets for how much time I want to spend in in-person relationships. How much time. I suggest most people do something different for their weekdays, because weekdays are usually going to be the same, and then maybe Saturday and Sunday do something different. And then it's going to show what your food pyramid, your ideal food pyramid would be like. So after you create a plan, then what you're going to do is then you're going to actually redo this whole process, and you're going to do this next tab that says the actual on plan. And the end result is, hopefully what you're going to do is you're going to realize, what, like I did, is if I work intentionally on my food consumption, if I work intentionally on my media consumption, then it can make a radical difference. All of a sudden I realize, wow, I have all this time to spend, building myself up. I have, let me tell you some of the tips I've done in my own life. I spend about 8 hours a week in the car. I decided to get ebooks and podcasts and sermons that I listen to there, and I'm getting 8 hours of awesome, media there. I spend probably 5 hours a week running, so I'm getting 5 hours doing the same thing. I have playlists where I'm, trying to list documentaries. I often create playlists in YouTube and other things that I'll play whenever I'm bored, instead of just, wasting time on my mobile phone. And what I've found is it's almost like I'm a full-time student. I'm spending 15, 20 hours in nutritious media that builds me up. I'll still play video games for a couple hours with my kids, maybe, an hour or two a week. and watch a TV show or a movie during the week. But the point is that that's not the core. And if I have any toxic or addictive tendencies, I'm going to be honest with someone. I'm going to have accountability for that. I'm going to go to them and say, you know what? I binge watched 8 hours of Daredevil last night and I didn't get any sleep, and hold me accountable so I don't do that again. Um, so anyway, that's what the lesson is. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. I do plan to turn this thing into a full free MOOC course, a massive online course. But if you find this helpful, share it with your friends, share it with your church, share it with everybody, and hopefully we can all have um, more healthy media habits. Thanks a lot.